Boys and girls. Today in our lesson 6, we're going to be talking about plants and how plants reproduce. To be ready for this lesson, you should have already listened to the read aloud, Plants Make Plants. You need several things today. You're going to need your workbook, and then in your packet that your parents should have picked up from school, you should have a picture of a bee, a page with 4 flowers on it, a little sheet like this called Pollination, and a green piece of construction paper. If you have all those things and a pencil, you are ready to begin. If not, pause the video and get ready now. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to talk about how plants reproduce. And reproduce means how do they make more of their own kind? Well, plants make other plants through a process called pollination. And we're going to talk here, and I'll show you a little bit here about what pollination is. Well, pollination is where pollen, little bitty seeds in a plant, are taken from one plant to another. And when the pollen mixes, the plant will start to make actual seeds, and then those seeds will fall off and replant themselves in the ground, and the process begins again. Well, I'm going to show you an example of pollination. So I'm going to scroll in on this picture here. Now, boys and girls, I know some of you might be a little afraid of bees. And guess what? If a bee stings you, it does hurt a little bit, kind of like getting a shot. But bees are very, very, very important to the environment. They're one of our greatest pollinators. So I'm going to show you with this bee and my pencil how pollination works. So you have a flower here, and in the flower you have nectar. And a bee is called a pollinator. So the bee or the pollinator is going to visit the flower, and when they get into the flower to eat the nectar or to get this to take back to the honey hive to feed other bees, all this nectar and pollen is going to get stuck on their legs, So then that bee is going to fill up and move to another flower. And what happens then when it goes into the flower to eat the nectar is it drops some of the pollen it collected from this flower into this flower. And then it does the same thing into flower and flower and flower and flower. What happens then is those pollens mix together, and the plant makes seeds, which then fall into the ground and become new flowers or plants. So this is just a cartoon drawing of the same thing. You have a bee flying with the pollen, can dust off of their legs and fly, or once they land in there, that pollen can come in there and mix and start what's called pollination. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a little craft today that shows the process of pollination. And so I'm going to get my things ready. Now, what I did just to make it easier is I cut out some of my pieces before the video started. Remember, at any time, you guys can pause the video so that you can catch up with me. So you're going to need your scissors and a glue stick and your pieces. And so if you need to grab those things, pause the video, grab them now, and we are going to make a picture of pollination. And what I want to do is I want to, because pollination is part of the life cycle. Cycle is a circle of things that happen. I'm going to cut this piece of green construction paper that we have sort of into a circle. So I'm going to start at the corner right here, and I'm just going to cut and really kind of go along the outer edge to cut off all of the straight edges of my paper and kind of make a circle. And it's not going to be a perfect circle because a rectangle cuts more to like an oval, but I do want to cut the corners off of my paper so that I have a cyclical or a circular shape, kind of like this, and I'm going to trim this edge just like this. So boys and girls, I'm going to back this up so that you can see I have cut all of that off and kind of made it into a big oval or a big circle like this. So why don't you guys pause your videos and go ahead and cut that now. Excellent, boys and girls. Now, the first thing we need are our flowers. Now you can cut all 4 flowers, you can cut 3 flowers, but you need 3 or 4. So I'm going to go ahead and use the flowers that I cut. So I cut this pretty pink one here, and then I cut this pretty blue one here, and then I cut this yellow one. You can use any of the 3 that you want. If you use the 4th flower, boys and girls, just go ahead and put it to the bottom. But I'm going to just use these 3 for ease. Then I'm going to cut my bee. I'm going to cut my bee, and I'm going to put my bee just kind of right here in between the flowers like this. Like this. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take either a crayon or a marker or even your pencil, and we're going to draw what's called little dots right here, and this is going to be our pollen in this flower. So all I did was do dots to show the pollen in this flower. In this flower, we're going to do it a little bit differently, and we're going to draw lines like this as the pollen in that flower. And then we're going to come over here to this next one, and I'm going to just do little X's. Like that, so you can see. So each of those flowers have different pollen. So what happens is the bee will start off in the first flower, and we're going to draw a dotted line like this to show the path that the bee is taking. And I'm just going to give him a little loop-de-doo there to make it look cute. And then he is going to fly into this blue flower right there. Well, what he's doing is he's going to move this dotted pollen over here to the blue flower. So now if you see, that blue flower not only has its little lines, it also has some of the dotted pollen from the pink flower that the bee collected. So now the bee is going to fill up on the line pollen over here, and it's going to fly around some more. And again, I'm just going to give it a loop-de-loop to make it look fun. And it's going to go over here and visit this flower. So now the bee is going to deposit little bits of the dotted pollen and little bits of the line pollen. So what that bee has done is it has pollinated the flowers by collecting pollen from each and dropping little bits of it on different flowers as it goes. What you're going to do next is you're going to label your pollination chart with this word, and it says pollination. Insects help pollinate. Insects help a plant make seeds. And you are going to go ahead and glue that on the bottom of your paper. Now, boys and girls, that was kind of a quick glance at pollination. Remember, pause the video at any time during the process of making this so that you can make your own pollination picture. I hope you enjoyed this craft today, boys and girls. See you next time.